Hi, my name's Denise Daffara. I'm an artist in Queensland, Australia. In this video, I have gathered a range of snippets of video that I took during August, trying to bring my focus in to what I love to do when I've created a body of work, and in this case it was going off to Melbourne Affordable Art Fair. What I love to do is have a bit of a hangout with the paintings and see how they made me feel, a little bit about the background of them, what inspired them, things like that. And this month I just had so much going on that it was quite hard to just hold a thread of thought from beginning to end. So I've revisited this need of mine to hang out with the paintings and talk with them. And since I've been vlogging for a couple of years, it makes sense to do it via video. So I've gathered the videos and put them in today's bundle, and I truly apologize for there will be a little bit of repetition because I have, gone a few days in between. All kinds of things have been happening. I think the most poignant part of it was knowing that the deadline, when we hung the work downstairs in our lounge, and it looked like a pop-up gallery. It just felt so lovely. But sort of, there was only a matter of maybe 1 week where they could all be hanging, and then I needed to take them all down, wrap them, label them, make their certificates and send them off to my gallery, Stephen Street Gallery, who took them down to Melbourne on a big road trip. So there was just these pockets of time, there was the production, make the work, and then pause, look at the work, enjoy the work, think about the work, what did the work mean, now wrap it and send it out. And that sounds frenetic, and sometimes it does feel that way in your body. So I've tried my best to create some moments of quiet where I chat about the paintings and what they've meant and spend a little bit more time with them. Now, a couple of weeks after, I don't even know if it's that long, but nearly a couple of weeks after the art fair has been and gone, 8 pieces sold, and I have, a bunch have come back home with me. And now it's like, okay, so will I edit the ones that returned before they go to Sydney? What will I do? So I've been on my beach walk this morning, I was thinking about that. But I might leave that for the next video where I've got a whole lot of footage of the Melbourne Art Fair, and I'll try my best to stitch them together. It can take up to a day just to stitch all these snippets together and try and make sense of them. But the easiest way, I think, is to bring them all in and put them in the order of when they happened. But then there could be a bit of repetition. So please forgive me if that annoys you. And this is for you if you enjoy hearing the backstory or hearing a little bit more in depth about what the painting might mean to the artist. And by all means, I'd love to hear if there's paintings in this collection that really speak to you. I'd love to hear from you. And I love that interaction with the people that my work resonates with. I really appreciate it. So that's what you'll find today, is kind of mixture, and again, sorry for the repeats. All right, thanks for being here. These are some notes that came out of some journaling. I love to do morning pages, a la Julia Cameron. So I'll read them out as I share these slides. I painted love and belonging into these paintings. I painted prayers asking for love to prevail and honouring beauty. Creating connection with curiosity, love and belonging. I didn't see that coming, that became sort of something, the thread that held them all together, the idea of love and belonging, which is kind of a current theme that I have running around in my mind, and I'm listening to podcasts about belonging to oneself. I painted our little dog, Aura. Her face is always welcome at my table. I even painted a few cats, which is new. They represent a level of, I don't care about what people think. I choose to be myself, that I kind of admire. I painted in blues and greens. Blue is said to represent the throat chakra and finding or using one's voice. Artists can use their voice with line, shape, colour, design. We can be bright, loud, small, large, vast, detailed, messy, neat, loose, tight, realistic, mysterious. The list could go on and on. I want to feel free. I painted green for the healing of my heart, grieving all the losses and the should have, could have, would haves, grieving the innocent one that gets so lost in the noise and fear. Gratitude for the greenery in nature seen out my window. Healing. Blues and greens also to calm the anger and rage I feel in my body at the injustices and wars in the world. Calming the nervous system is vital. We need more love, not less. And what keeps me sane? These are all terms that you hear in the IFS world, the internal family systems. What keeps me sane? Curiosity, compassion, calm, clarity, courage, confidence, creativity, and connectedness. Presence, perspective, patience, persistence, and playfulness. Here is my lounge room basically without furniture. And so we have turned it into a pop-up gallery. So these are all the paintings that I will be taking with me to Melbourne. So let me walk through with you. And what we also have outside is a DIY project. I'm having a workshop here in 2 weeks. And so I will turn this room into a beautiful workshop space. And so I went on Marketplace like a crazy person, searching, found some chairs, and there was 8 timber chairs, and Philip and I undercoated them yesterday, and they will be shiny white like the other 2 over there that we've done already. And so yes, as much as it's like a pop-up gallery, it's also a bit of a workshop going on there. And so this is the other group of paintings that will be going to Melbourne. I'm especially smitten by these 2. They have so much meaning and love in them for me. This one is called The Artist's Desk, and you know, it was an actual painting that I had, and I was getting rid of it all, and that I left the lady's face and then changed it to be like it's an unfinished painting on the shelf in an artist's studio. And that is a drawing of a page from my art journal. I have jars of coloured pencils, and that's my favourite cup. So this vase I made with my daughter Alex, and she glazed the stripes on it for me. So it's got absolute personal meaning, even down to those scissors are a little pair of scissors that I picked up when we were sorting out my mum's things after she passed, and they were some scissors that I picked up. And so every time I see those scissors or use those scissors, I'm reminded of my mum. So much personal meaning into that one. This one here with a favourite quote from Amy McNee. I mean, I've got so many favourite quotes of Amy. I love her book, We Need Your Art. And so this one here, it's okay to live a life that others don't understand. When I first painted this, I actually did that just with chalk and thought, maybe I had the exciting idea that I could actually just leave it with chalk and at the art show leave some chalk and a piece of cloth so people could rub it out and write something else. But I asked around a couple of my friends and asked Philip, and they thought, no, it's better that I paint it in, and I sort of might revisit that idea at another time. I think it's a fun idea to be able to have a painting that you love and then be able to change a piece of it. They have permission to do that. I think that's really cool. What do you think of that idea? Do you like it? I guess I don't have enough, I haven't sort of done enough market research, but if you, my YouTube friends, have an idea about that, let me know. I'd be curious. And so this is a large version of the tiny paintings that I've been making with little Aura, my dog, in them. And so this one, I imagined what she might type.
And so these are the little words I put. I love you and I would like more beach walks, and I like those special dog treats. After all, I am a very special dog. My favourite time is couch time with you and laying outside in the sun. I am so glad I'm here. So I imagined that coming from little Aura just by the way she is with us. Again, with my favourite cup and the jars of pencils. So yeah, and also really experimenting with having the loose kind of almost graffiti-ish mark making, which is not my normal. So stepping out of my comfort zone to try some new things. And so this one represents a bit of a breakthrough in letting myself paint a little looser. It's sort of something I'm wanting very much. And it is more difficult than you might imagine, because the control freak in me comes in and wants to fix it. So there's those two. And this is a third one, all of the same size. So that sort of group of paintings there are 3 the same size, 80 by 80 centimeters. And then there's then there's this one. So this one, it started off as a tiny, which I have kept, and you will see in another little video talking about tiny paintings that I've done. And so then I made one this size and then this size, but this one I left Aura out because I thought not everybody wants Aura the Chihuahua in their paintings, although she is adorable. And she looks so much like many little dogs you see. You know, there's an essence of the little Foxy, the Jack Russell, all those sort of dogs with their sweet little faces, who own them know that we love them so much. So there's those two and one tiny one, which is very different for me. She's holding a little cat. Since doing a little painting recently for some neighbours that we had in Sydney, they had a cat. And so in these paintings, I have popped in a couple of little cats. So I've called that Cat Paws, P-A-U-S-E. What is lemon or citrus treats, I think that's called. This one, Bella Gioia. So Bella means beautiful, Gioia means joy. And this one, cherry on top, obviously, with the little cupcakes. So yeah, quite love that one. Then over here, this was a pair of tiny paintings and now has become these two. And you know, like the next size up. And so then there's another little pussycat with a quirky little expression on its face. Another little Aura. So I think these would be good as a diptych. They do look okay on their own, but I think they do look great as a pair. And then these two here. Another one more inspired by some of the tiny ones that I've been doing. So the morning toast and jam, and another pussycat. Isn't she quite special? So that's new, little pussycats. And so then I have 4 really quite large paintings. I did this one since coming home, and I edited this one, I think, since coming home to the coast, and this one. I did the majority of this one in Sydney, but these other 3 have all been finished since being home. So I was really happy with myself getting some large works done, because it was a lot going on in my mind. So this one is particularly watery and interesting. Coming, you know, the idea of the layers underneath, a bit ethereal, a bit mysterious, not realistic, but then some pieces are sort of realistic. The mixture of the both, I really quite love playing with that. and bringing in these extra little characters, sort of friends. You know, like, is that parrot an ornament or is it real? I don't know. We have parrots like that visit our garden, but more king parrots. They've got red on them. But I particularly love birds, so it was a joy to find ways to bring birds. I've got birds in another piece I'll show you. And the cheetah or leopard holding a candle. That was lovely. I have a keen interest in animal, kind of like shaman messages of what animals bring. And so sometimes when an animal is particularly coming to mind, I like to know and relate a bit to that. So it was fun to put a cheetah in there. And the idea of the 4 cups, the 4 glasses, please excuse Aura coughing in the background. That is the idea that more than one, there's people going to be gathering. I love the idea that bringing community together, bringing people together. So that's the symbolism with the 4 vessels, that there will be a gathering. There's friends coming over, like that. This one, passion fruit leaves, is just embracing the mystery of the underlayers, that unstructured, unfinished, open to interpretation kind of feeling. And keeping the spontaneity of the marks that were there underneath by outlining them in leaf shapes. I just love how this feels, this kind of this technique. I had a painting very similar to it that I can't part with, that I love so much that I wanted to recreate it. So that's where this one got its inspiration, from one I'd done before. And just the outlines of things, so that they're there, they're not there, the idea of things, you know, and a whole lot left to the imagination. Whereas this one is much more, it is what it is. There's a gathering of vessels, that there will be a dinner party coming or a lunch, and just the celebration of these ginger jars, which are so fresh and beautiful. They are I just love them, being and celebrating green and blue, really. So I just sort of went on Pinterest and found lots of reference pieces, and just listening within what wanted to be added, what next, what else. And so these birds, when I saw them, I just knew I wanted to put them in. So they were really quite fun to paint. I used graffiti to paint those, where you have the underpainting, and then whilst the paint's still wet, carving out the pattern. So quite love how they turned out. And I was a little worried about having to do a pair, because then they needed to look so similar to each other. But I used some tracing material, and that worked out well as well. So they're a bit fun, aren't they? And tulips, white tulips, marigolds. No, not marigolds. What are they? Oh, I've gone blank. Gone blank. Yeah. So that one is very striking. Had fun with pattern making, and I enjoyed making this other bird as well. So you're a fan of blue and green. And then there's this one, which I have edited, a painting you will have seen maybe at another time, called Autumn Abundance. And I had a big fruit platter and a big arrangement. And so I made a whole bunch of edits to this. I sort of was asking in my mind, if going to Melbourne, what could we do? And there's lots of multicultural people of all kinds of nations in Melbourne, especially lots of Italian and Greek families. And so that I think really did inspire this. It's very Italian colours. There's a little pizza in the corner. And just, you know, the idea of gathering and sharing food and a celebration together. So that one I just sort of kept adding things, a bit like you do when friends are coming over and you're just sort of gathering things and just keep putting things on the table. It's a bit like that. So yeah, that one's really homely and inviting, I think. It's a few days before I am going to pack up all these paintings, and I'm just in the kitchen and I keep kind of glancing over, and I came and looked into the room. I'll show you where I was standing. Sorry, turn that around. I was just standing looking into the room like this, and I'm setting it up, readying, trying out some ways to put the tables and things for a workshop coming up. And I thought I really do need to spend a little more time with these paintings. And I was going to get my journal, but I thought it just might be easier to make a little recording. And so I think maybe I'll share this after the art fair. First of all, I want to take the notes for myself, then share as best I can on my social media their availability and their attributes. But for my personal use, and maybe here, I wanted to be able to bring to mind some things that are really personally and interesting and of note for me that I might want to do something differently next time. I think these are incredibly special to me. I'm noticing as Aura is aged and she's been a little off colour the last few days, and so it's really quite difficult, I think, to part with these. And so I want to spend a decent amount of time with them and letting myself know that I can repaint. And as I was sitting looking, because I'm in a bit of a catch-22, I actually need to put the work out for sale. We need the cash flow very importantly at the moment. And so, you know, it feels like a bit of a luxury to say, no, I'm not going to sell these, I'm going to keep them. So I'm choosing the more empowering option to believe that I can paint again. And as I was looking at this one, I thought, I love it. What could I possibly change? But then I thought, well, if I want to do another couple of these for myself to keep, there's nothing stopping me from recreating the same thing. But I thought I could actually just really hone in and add pieces to the paintings that are really, really personal to us and our family, so they'd have even more meaning for me. I think that's what I'm really interested in doing for my Tiny Paintings classes, is to just encourage people to put something in the painting that is so meaningful to you that when you look at it, it just touches your heart and melts a bit. And I think that's why these ones with little Aura in them are so difficult to part with. She is such a little important person, fur being person in our life. And but yeah, it's almost like I look at them and think, well, but what if I can't paint her like that again, you know? It's really interesting going through this time, and I'm loving how these flowers turned out. I'm loving the kind of the pale lines on these black chairs and this deep dark olive background, and then the fresh blue against that, and then the lemons popping out. I'm loving the colour palette of that. And so I want to just really take it in, like take it right in, and, you know, encourage myself to revisit this. Let's revisit this colour palette with the deep blues and the greens and the olives and the, you know, like there's deep darks, there's some black, there's some white, and then there's interesting toned down colours that it's made by mixing a little bit of everything and then a bit of white. So there's a harmony. And then that sort of salmony pink, which really goes well. Yeah, I'm really smitten with this colour palette. I love this one as well, but there's just something, I want to say, almost sophisticated about that one. And then this one's a little kind of fun. It's like a really old-fashioned feeling there, and as opposed to very modern. It's kind of like, I think you might call it a juxtaposition, which is a fancy word. I love the quirky drawing of the cups. I love those. And this texture. And I collaged the plates onto this one, which I really liked. And then did the flowers over the top of the plate. So I quite love the way that that's got texture in it. So yeah, collage and interesting colour palette. And just that beautiful little aura dog. So these two are incredibly important to me.
Hi, I'm Denise. I'm going to talk to you about some of my paintings I'm sending to Melbourne Affordable Art Fair. This one is called Bird's Eye View. I just had the feeling as I was looking at it, and there's 3 different birds featured in the painting, and the idea that I was looking at them, they were looking at me, so I just was playing with that sort of idea. So let me turn around and I'll talk more about them. I approached the painting of this one very differently to how I sometimes do a very organic background and then see what shapes come forward. This time I did it differently, and I drew some of the shapes, drawing from an image I found on Pinterest of a sort of a dinner party. It just felt so opulent. I had a very short time frame, and I thought, let me approach this differently and have more of a plan. Which I think was good and bad. It's another topic, but yeah. So I decided to I'm going to bring you a little closer. So the bird was on the vase, and then that led to me noticing these gorgeous candle holders that I saw on Pinterest as well. Because once you start researching ginger jars, you find there is a bottomless, endless world of ginger jars. And so I was really loving coming up with sort of patterns for these. And then, simplifying the patterns quite significantly because they are really quite detailed when you see them up close. And so again, with the time constraint, I decided to just keep going one step at a time with what wanted to happen next. And so I did simplify some of the designs, which made them quite striking. But then when I saw these birds with their quite detailed markings, that was great. So that gave me, the difference between a very tight detail and a loose, bright vase behind, which gives kind of an energy to it, doesn't it? And the magnolias up the top, the opulent, abundance of these white tulips. So that felt lovely, when there's just lots. It was very, just really fun for me to see just so many flowers on the table. So I tried to depict that. And the whisperings of things to come. The empty glasses awaiting the people, the empty plates. But it's like ready to be set up with the food, a lunch or something happening really soon. So this one's called Bird's Eye View. So this piece is called Passion Flower Leaves. These vines are from a passion fruit vine. And so I was just loving the really interesting shapes of them. I had a question on my Instagram about what's the meaning behind this painting. And what I wanted to talk about was when I sometimes do a spontaneous background first with all kinds of drips and running paint and no structure, just playing. Sometimes I enjoy the result of that so much that it's hard to let it go. And so this is one of the ways that I preserve some of it. Let some go and preserve some of it. And so it's just speaking to underlayers. We have so many underlayers within our personality and what we present to the world. And sometimes we cover it all up, also known as masking. And sometimes it's open and raw and unstructured, can see straight through. You know, you can sort of like read a whole lot into that. There's so much depth to us and layers to us that we don't get to see from others presented in the public. You know, we have our ways of being that not everyone is privy to. So with artwork, we can read layers into it by being the viewer, and the artist can put all kinds of layers into it that may not be what the viewer will think, but there's sort of like a synergy that gets created that you just never know really what your piece is going to say to someone else. So as much as I love sharing about what it means to me, I really love hearing what it means to others as well, because then that sort of completes the circle, that I put something out, that you receive feedback or appreciation or like that, and that completes that circle. And when the artworks sell, that often gives an artist lots of energy to keep creating, because we sort of need to buy the materials. Like there's practicality as well as mystery and beauty and all of these unspoken things that are celebrated within a painting. And green is my favorite color, and so yeah, these ones where I have just outlined things is just not having to have completely finished, letting something be unfinished, letting it be on the way to something, or the hint of something, or the idea of something, because I'm not terribly drawn to painting realistically. It doesn't call to me, it doesn't satisfy me, I find it really frustrating, and I guess I kind of find it boring. I want spontaneity in the work. So those are some thoughts about this one.
Denise, how are you feeling right now?
I'm quite excited and proud of myself, but also a little sadness that I know that this is the last time all of these paintings are in the room together with me. So I really wanted to acknowledge that and be with them and talk about that a little bit.
Do you have a favourite?
I have a few favourites. This is my favourite of the large pieces because of the freedom of movement, and this freedom of movement I love as well. But this one, bringing in this little guy, made me very happy, and the patterning, I really love those. And then this one I love very much. I think all the ones with aura just have my heart. I could just cover my walls with pictures of aura. So I've promised myself, look, we'll let these go, but we might have to do another couple for us to keep, because I've been keeping over here, I'm keeping this little one, and then I was inspired to do more, you know, and so I love these. I love them with a passion because they represent a little being in our life that's so precious. And yeah, so having her looking back out at me from the frames is very heartwarming.
Denise, are there any paintings that you found most challenging?
I'd probably say these two larger ones. This one I had a very tight time constraint, and I was fighting with the part of me that I feel is over controlling, and I have quite a war in my head in a way of
part wants freedom and part wants control, and I get very annoyed when a painting starts to look too well behaved. It really frustrates me. So trying to embrace that part of me and reminding myself, well, not everybody in the world wants a really messy painting. Some people actually love neatness, preciseness, details as well. So it's not, I don't have to sort of necessarily keep making myself wrong, but just make a different kind of painting. And so that's why you see two different, quite differing styles of how I work, allowing different parts of me. And this one, I decided to revamp an older piece. And so that was quite difficult to see where to take it. Also to work with the background that I had already and just make it more lush, instead of trying to do it all over again. Mainly because of my time constraint. We had to move house in the middle of creating this body of work. And so I just didn't have the luxury to, oh, what shall I do? Let's see. It was sort of like, okay, you know, there was a real sort of urgency that I felt that I needed to, you know, don't be so critical. What can we do? What will work? What's working instead of what's not? So it was quite a good experience, especially that I think that's why I'm wanting to really acknowledge now, coming out the other side and having created the 14 pieces, and I'm getting ready to send them off, to acknowledge that I did that hard thing, and I love the majority of what I've done.
Does little Dee want to say anything?
I think that little Dee is really playing a part in putting these little animals in and having a feeling of joy in the work, and she loves the tiny paintings and the small works. So these are very much, I think, a sort of a combined effort with me and my little inner children, that we make small paintings because they like small things. I love small things probably because of my inner children. So yeah, I think these ones very much are celebrating little Dee.